Here's a thought. Have you noticed that the passage of time slows down when we are in a state of flow? This is so because subconsciously we beat in a rhythm and we let ourselves be transported as if in a current, hence the expression flow state. Today I want to talk about the different flow states that I recognize and the difference I spot between the concept of mindfulness and flow, and how misleading the word mindfulness can be. So, a flow state is like an autopilot, a program, but this program had to be written first. It had to be ingrained in the subconscious in advance through repetition, through the creation of a habit. And this can only be achieved when you focus on form. If, for example, we are talking about a martial art, karate, for example, it is the memorization and execution of the kata. That's the form. If it's yoga, it's the memorization and execution of asanas, body postures. Mindfulness is registering without judging. Here, the important thing is to pay attention to the senses as a whole, which is, after all, the lessons to be assimilated. I don't focus on the minute details when I'm practicing mindfulness, but more on the thing as a whole, to be present in form. This is mindfulness in practice. The practice is an important step to achieve a state of flow, but mindfulness is not equivalent to a flow state. In mindfulness, focus of attention is required on what is full, on form, while in the flow state, it's the focus of attention on what is empty, on the formless. The flow state is a type of automation, but not just any automation. It's the one that is efficient, that doesn't create internal friction, and that's why it makes us feel good when we realize we've been in flow. Yes, I'm using a past tense here, because it is in hindsight that we realized we were in a flow state. It's in the trivial, everyday kind of flow that it gets broken when we notice it. There are many types of flow states, but they all have these characteristics in common, which is, first, the characteristic that it is a sort of hypnosis caused by rhythm, and the other characteristic is the sensation of the passage of time that is accelerated. For example, when we're talking to someone on the phone and we are excited, we notice when the phone call ends how long we've been on the phone. Just then we notice that. Or when we are playing a musical instrument, we feel at the end of the session how quickly time passed. The rhythm, that is time, has something to do with the flow state. So how is the flow state broken when we notice time? I believe that it is when we worry about the passage of time that we become a blockage to our own execution. And yet, when we focus too much on our actions, we also stumble on flow. So, because the actions are intrinsically related with rhythm and thus time, for example, walking or running, to do an action repetitively, it's like grinding is both rhythm and internalization or programming. For me, to reach a state of flow, which is an unlocking to release all potential, there needs to be a focus on attention, on everything except what I want. Assuming that there has previously been an internalization for the desired action, that is, after the practice of mindfulness, which is the internalization of certain movements or techniques if we are talking about a sport, or programming the subconsciousness in case we want to change a personal behavior. So after the practice of mindfulness, then yes, to release all the potential, it is necessary to get out of control. That is, handing over the command to the subconscious that has been already taught by mindfulness. And therefore, to leave the reins to the current, the subconscious, to take the weight off of our shoulders, and so we feel lighter and everything becomes easier for us. This is the flow we aspire to. After a dedicated internalization, I must focus not on what I really want to do, that's what I call that which is full, but on the emptiness that is allowing myself to access this subconscious programming through a focus on details that have nothing to do with the action in itself. This may seem counterintuitive, but many masters of their disciplines advocate something that hints at precisely this. It is said that Miyamoto Musashi, one of the greatest samurais ever, used peripheral vision in his fights. And what does this have to do with the flow state, one might ask? Well, it seems to me that he didn't focus on that which is full, that would lead to a blockage of the self. Instead, the trained subconscious can manifest when the focus is on that which is empty. Thus, the identity itself does not obstruct the flow of instinct and or the trained and programmed subconscious. There is no flow without priming in relation to process optimization. There always has to be work and dedication. It's, after all, repetition and grinding. But there is the flow without an aim to competition. And this type of flow just needs priming of being. I said at the beginning that to be in flow, it is about focusing attention on the emptiness of things, the silence between sounds. So my suggestion right now is for you to try the following exercise, a type of walking meditation. So, on a straight path, when walking, twist your torso slightly so your arms can swing more. You feel the momentum you create and you let yourself go. Because people often drag as they walk, but here the focus is on the swinging and the rhythm that is created. And last but not least, the infinitesimal space between each swinging cycle. So, over time, you create something interesting, which is the lightness of the act of walking. Now, let yourself be involved in the subtlety of each balance, and so you will see that time flies. Another simple exercise is a sitting meditation, in which we visually observe the swaying of the treetops when there is stronger wind, and the smaller cycles of the branches and leaves that are trapped there. Or simply, for a few minutes, you can, with your eyes closed, feel the heartbeat and focus on the intervals of each beat, trying to anticipate them. Or else, in the breath, the tiny moment of pause between each exhalation and inspiration or inhalation. This allows you to be in a kind of flow, and this exploration can be carried out throughout the day through all the balances and swinging of the body and the swinging and balances of everything that is observed. Note the rhythm of the world and discover the subtlety of the little things. And notice that basically what I'm describing is action through inaction, the Wu Wei of Taoism. The focus is on the void, for the concretization of the act of being a full and concretized potential. We had to learn the traffic rules. We had to be present to have the instruction booklet in hand when we attend the classes. We had to get behind the wheel to drive the car for the first time and to feel our heart pounding. So most of the time we did it in a non-judgmental way because we didn't have time to waste time judging. I will say that we were mindful in the act of learning, at least most of the time. There are those who mentally verbalize that the traffic light is red for them when approaching an intersection. Those people are mindful because they register without judging. They verbalized it so many times. They've done it so many times that if on another occasion, if they become distracted and make a sudden break to stop before passing the red, what will get them out of a bad situation is precisely a state of flow. Be well.